There's a moment many of my patients describe that still tugs at my heart. They wake up in the morning, swing their legs over the side of the bed, and before their feet even touch the floor, the pain in their joints reminds them of yesterday and the day before that. Some tell me they dread that first step as if their body has become a stranger. And yet there's a hidden truth here that often surprises people. The pain isn't always inevitable, and the choices we make, starting with the very first meal of the day, can set the tone for how our joints feel, not just for hours, but for years. I'm Dr. Brian, and welcome to Channel Wellness Blueprint Over 50. Today, I'll share with you 7 simple breakfast foods backed by science and stories that can help fight arthritis and bring back ease to your mornings. Let me begin with a story about Helen, a retired teacher in her early 70s who came to see me because her mornings felt like battles. She loved tending her garden, but bending down to pull weeds had become almost impossible. Her knees ached, her energy dipped, and she confessed that even making breakfast felt like a chore. One of the first changes we made wasn't a prescription, but a bowl of oatmeal. Now, you might think oatmeal is just a bland old breakfast from the past, but for Helen, it became a small act of healing. Each spoonful delivered not only comfort, but also a dose of fiber and special compounds called avenanthramides. I like to describe them as tiny firefighters rushing through the body, dousing the sparks of inflammation that aggravate arthritis. Within weeks, she noticed her joints weren't as stiff when she got up, and she had more stamina to get back to her beloved roses. The science behind this is fascinating but also simple. Fiber helps stabilize blood sugar, which prevents the kind of roller coaster that fuels inflammation. Think of your bloodstream like a calm river. When it's smooth, your joints rest easy. But when sugar levels spike and crash, it's like throwing rocks into the river, creating turbulence that irritates everything downstream, including your joints. Oats help keep that river calm. And when you add toppings like blueberries or a sprinkle of cinnamon, you're layering on even more protection. Blueberries are bursting with antioxidants that act like shields against cell damage. And cinnamon, as research suggests, has its own anti-inflammatory punch. Suddenly, a plain bowl transforms into a medicine chest disguised as breakfast. Greek yogurt is another quiet hero. For many of my patients, yogurt was once just a snack, but when I explain its role in joint health, it takes on new importance. The creamy texture hides armies of beneficial bacteria known as probiotics. I often compare your gut to a garden. If weeds take over, nothing thrives. But if you nurture the soil, everything blossoms. Probiotics are like gardeners, restoring balance, and in doing so, calming inflammation throughout the body. A study in the journal Nutrition Research found that people who regularly consume probiotic-rich foods experience measurable reductions in inflammatory markers. This means less stiffness, less pain, and a body that feels more at peace. And beyond probiotics, Greek yogurt provides calcium and protein, both crucial for maintaining strong bones and muscles. Imagine your joints as hinges on a door. Without sturdy wood and well-oiled support, the hinge struggles. Yogurt helps keep that door opening smoothly. For a patient named Carlos, who battled both arthritis and the creeping frailty of muscle loss, incorporating Greek yogurt with walnuts and strawberries became transformative. Not only did his digestion improve, but his legs grew stronger, and he walked with more confidence. Sometimes he'd joke in my office saying, "Doc, who knew breakfast could feel like medicine that actually tastes good?" That's the beauty of this approach. It doesn't feel clinical or restrictive. It feels like nourishment. Now let's not forget the humble egg. Eggs have been unfairly villainized in the past, but for older adults seeking joint relief, they can be a gift. They're rich in protein, which is essential for repairing tissues and maintaining muscle strength around aching joints. But what many don't realize is that eggs also contain choline, a nutrient that plays a role in controlling inflammation. Think of choline as the traffic controller of your body's communication system, guiding signals so they don't turn into unnecessary flare-ups. By including eggs, whether scrambled, boiled, or as part of a vegetable omelet, you're giving your body tools to quiet those inflammatory alarms. I remember a gentleman named Robert who had resisted eggs for years, convinced they were bad for his heart. Once we revisited the science together and carefully reintroduced them, he not only enjoyed the flavors he had missed, but also noticed his morning stiffness eased. He often cooked them with spinach and mushrooms, two vegetables rich in additional nutrients like vitamin K and selenium, which acted like teammates supporting his joints. Breakfast became his ritual of self-care, rather than a rushed, painful hurdle to clear. What ties all these foods together, oatmeal, Greek yogurt, and eggs, isn't just their nutritional profile, but the sense of empowerment they provide. When you wake up and choose foods that calm inflammation, strengthen muscles, and nurture your gut, you're reclaiming agency over your health. You're telling your body, I care for you, and I want you to move freely. For someone over 50, this is no small victory. It's the difference between greeting the day with dread and greeting it with hope. So when you think of your first meal, remember Helen's roses, Carlos's stronger steps, and Robert's return to joy in the kitchen. These stories show us that what may seem like ordinary breakfast choices are, in fact, extraordinary steps toward arthritis pain relief and renewed independence. The fork and spoon in your hands are not just utensils, they're instruments of healing. One of the most remarkable things I've seen in my years of practice is how quickly people can feel a difference when they add certain natural anti-inflammatory foods to their morning routine. Let me share with you the story of Margaret, a vibrant woman in her late 60s who had been living with arthritis for over a decade. She told me she felt like her mornings were a tug of war between her willpower and her body's resistance. Her knuckles were stiff, her shoulders ached, and even holding a teacup was sometimes a challenge. When we introduced turmeric into her mornings, everything began to shift. Turmeric is not new. It has been used in traditional medicine for centuries. But modern science has confirmed what ancient wisdom suspected. Inside this golden spice is curcumin, a compound with powerful anti-inflammatory properties. I often tell my patients to imagine their joints as hinges on an old gate. Over time, rust builds up, making every movement squeak and groan. Curcumin works like a natural rust remover, gently clearing the inflammation that makes the hinges grind. But there's a catch. Curcumin on its own is not easily absorbed by the body. That's where black pepper comes in. Just a tiny pinch contains piperine, which acts like a key unlocking curcumin's full potential, allowing your body to absorb and use it effectively. Margaret started blending turmeric into a morning smoothie. She mixed it with pineapple, mango, and sometimes a handful of spinach. The pineapple added not just sweetness, but bromelain, an enzyme that itself helps calm inflammation. Mangoes contributed antioxidants, offering further protection. Within a few weeks, she came back to me smiling, flexing her fingers with more ease than she had felt in years. It feels like someone turned the volume down on the pain, she said. That's the kind of transformation food can bring when used with intention. Another gift from nature's table is berries. Blueberries, strawberries, blackberries. Each one is like a tiny jewel bursting with compounds called anthocyanins. These pigments give berries their vibrant colors and act like bodyguards for your joints, neutralizing harmful molecules known as free radicals. Left unchecked, free radicals cause oxidative stress, which is like rust spreading through the body. Antioxidants in berries slow this process down, protecting tissues and reducing pain. One clinical study published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry showed that people who consumed blueberries regularly had significant reductions in markers of inflammation. When I share this with my patients, their eyes often widen in surprise. So you're saying that something as simple as a handful of berries could ease my arthritis? And I tell them yes, not in a miracle cure sense, but as a consistent, gentle ally. Over time, those small handfuls add up to real relief. For a patient named Diane, who adored sweets but struggled with arthritis, swapping pastries for a berry bowl was life-changing. Instead of feeling deprived, she discovered joy in mixing frozen blueberries into warm oatmeal or blending strawberries into her yogurt. She told me that not only did her joints feel more flexible, but she also noticed more energy in her afternoons. That's the beauty of berries. They nourish without weighing you down. When you combine turmeric and berries, you create what I like to call a double shield for your joints. One calms inflammation from within, while the other defends against oxidative damage. Both are accessible, affordable, and easy to weave into everyday life. And more importantly, both carry a sense of dignity because instead of relying solely on medication, you're giving your body a chance to heal through nourishment. For those over 50 who may already feel that life is narrowing because of pain, these foods offer a way back to possibility. Imagine waking up and blending a golden smoothie, vibrant and rich, or scattering a handful of deep purple berries across your breakfast plate. These colors are not just beautiful, they are nature's code, signaling healing compounds inside. They are reminders that health is not found in pills alone, but in the living, vibrant foods that our ancestors once thrived on. If arthritis has been stealing your mornings, I want you to remember Margaret's loosened knuckles and Diane's renewed energy. Their experiences show us that change doesn't require drastic steps. Sometimes it's as simple as a smoothie or a handful of berries. With each bite, you're not just feeding your body, you're whispering to it, I still care for you. I still believe in your ability to heal. That message alone can be profoundly healing. If you've ever watched a door hinge groan when it's dry and then suddenly swing open smoothly once oiled, you already understand the power of omega-3 fatty acids. In the body, these healthy fats act as nature's lubricant, calming inflammation and keeping joints moving with less pain. For many of my patients, adding omega-3 rich foods has been a turning point in their journey toward arthritis pain relief. Take James, a former mechanic in his early 60s. His hands, once so precise in tuning engines, had become stiff and swollen from years of rheumatoid arthritis. He confessed to me that even holding a wrench felt like punishment. Instead of starting with new medication, I suggested we first try adding fatty fish to his diet. Simple choices like salmon or mackerel a couple of times a week. At first he laughed, saying, "Fish for breakfast, doc? That's not my style." But when I explained that even smoked salmon on whole grain toast or sardines on crackers could be part of his morning, he agreed to give it a try. Within a month, James noticed something he hadn't felt in years. His morning stiffness didn't linger as long. He described it as if the grinding gears in his hands had been smoothed. That's the anti-inflammatory magic of omega-3s. They block the production of chemicals in the body that trigger swelling and pain, much like shutting off a faulty alarm system that never stops blaring. Studies, including one in the journal Annals of the Rheumatic Diseases, have shown that people who regularly consume omega-3s from fish report reduced joint tenderness and less need for pain medication. But fish isn't the only source. Nuts, especially walnuts, offer their own treasure trove of omega-3s. Unlike the heavy meals that leave you sluggish, a handful of walnuts in the morning feels light, energizing, and surprisingly satisfying. For a patient named Eleanor, who lived alone and didn't like cooking fish, walnuts became her daily ritual. She would sprinkle them over Greek yogurt or blend them into a smoothie. Over time, not only did her joint pain ease, but her heart health improved as well, since walnuts are known to support healthy cholesterol levels. She told me, "It feels like one small handful carries me through the day, both in body and spirit." What makes walnuts so special isn't just the omega-3 content, but also their antioxidants. Picture antioxidants as tiny shields protecting your body's cells from damage. For joints already under attack by inflammation, that protection is priceless. And unlike supplements that often feel clinical and detached, a bowl of walnuts on the kitchen counter feels approachable, an invitation to snack your way toward healing. Now, for those who don't enjoy fish or nuts, there are still ways to invite omega-3s into your breakfast. Chia seeds and flax seeds, though small, are mighty. Stirred into oatmeal or yogurt, they become almost invisible but deliver substantial benefits. They act like little reservoirs of healthy fats, swelling when hydrated, and gently releasing their goodness into your body. They may not replace the full power of fish, but they certainly contribute to a foundation of joint health. What I want you to remember is that omega-3 foods don't act like instant painkillers. Their power lies in consistency. Just as you wouldn't expect one oiling to keep a hinge smooth forever, your joints need steady nourishment. Over weeks and months, omega-3s quietly recondition your body's inflammatory responses, allowing you to move with less restriction. That's why patients like James and Eleanor felt genuine shifts, not overnight miracles, but steady, life-enhancing improvements. When you think about breakfast, I want you to see it as an opportunity to pour oil into the gears of your body. Whether it's the silky richness of salmon, the crunch of walnuts, or the sprinkle of chia seeds, each choice says to your joints, you deserve care. And when you honor your body in this way, It often rewards you with greater freedom. Freedom to walk, to bend, to lift, and most importantly, to live without the shadow of constant pain. For those over 50, this freedom is more than physical. It's deeply emotional. Pain doesn't just wear down the body, it wears down the spirit. But with each omega-3 filled bite, you're fighting not just inflammation, but despair. You're affirming that the best years of life can still be filled with vitality, adventure, and joy. Imagine yourself sitting down to breakfast, taking in that first bite of salmon or that first crunch of walnuts, and feeling a quiet confidence that you're investing in many more mornings of movement and ease. That, to me, is the real power of these foods. They're not exotic or inaccessible. They're ordinary ingredients carrying extraordinary potential. And when woven into your daily rhythm, they help restore what arthritis tries to steal: independence, dignity, and the simple pleasure of moving without fear. If there's one truth I've learned walking beside patients through the challenges of arthritis, it's that healing is rarely about one big breakthrough. It's about the small, steady steps we choose each day. Oatmeal, yogurt, eggs, berries, turmeric, fish, walnuts, simple foods that quietly transform pain into possibility. When you place them on your breakfast table, you're not just feeding hunger, you're feeding hope. So tomorrow morning, I invite you to greet the day with nourishment that loves you back. I'm Dr. Brian. This is Wellness Blueprint Over 50. If this touched you, share it, subscribe, and keep choosing health.